Jordan Moore, Max Brown, John Jackson, and joined now by Jon Wilner, one of our favorite guests, because like everyone else, we've got questions and he always seems to have the answer. He's at Wilner Hotline on Twitter, where we, of course, follow him. You can also follow his great newsletter through the San Jose Mercury News. Welcome back to the show, John. How are you, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
Awesome. Hey, we're awesome, man. Things are changing, hopefully for the better around here. You've certainly been on that bandwagon as well. I saw a tweet of yours today, and it was bigger than USC. It was talking about Oregon and Washington and USC, maybe the three biggest football programs in the conference, and you called this a pivot point in conference history. How come?
Well, just with what's coming up, right? The college sports is changing immensely here in the next couple of years with name, image, likeness, expansion of the playoff, the Alston case, the economic model changing for college sports, and the Pac-12's got these massive TV rights negotiations coming up in about a year, and the more value the Pac-12 can take to the negotiating table, the better, the more leverage it's going to have with network partners. And Lincoln Riley adds value to the Pac-12. Washington and Oregon, if they are going good, same thing. You need your big brands to maximize their potential if the conference is going to get the most money it can.
John, I'll keep it big picture. Just when you first heard of the news, when Coach Riley got the head nod, what was your reaction in terms of the timetable as well? I mean, you're as plugged in as anyone. What'd you make of just the whole announcement and Coach Riley coming out west?
Well, I had seen some stuff on social that made me think maybe possible on that Sunday morning. I'll admit, I kind of went into that weekend thinking Matt Campbell seemed like the most likely, but not, a slam dunk. It just, it was something I will not soon forget. There's no doubt. I mean, you just don't see that kind of thing, right? Brian Kelly hadn't moved from Notre Dame to LSU at that point.
Yep.
So you hadn't seen, a five-star coach leaving a five-star program for another five-star program, right? I don't know the last time that happened in major college football. So there was certainly, a surprise factor. And it was, there's no, you didn't have to chew on the move to understand the significance. It was gigantic for USC and gigantic for the Pac-12.
You're listening to Jon Wilner at Wilner Hotline on Twitter, taking us through the Pac-12. And, things have shaken up here, right? I mean, if you're USC, you were looking at the sort of coaching situations at the powerful programs around you looking very stable, and yours being somewhat of a mess. And now all of a sudden you're feeling great, and a lot of your rivals are in upheaval. We saw Notre Dame in upheaval, and now Oregon. Where do they go now? Mario Cristobal leaves them. After three consecutive Pac-12 title game appearances, goes to Miami. Where do the Ducks go now, do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy how things change. Right? Think back, it's December 6th?
September
3rd.
December 6th, yep.
September 13th. USC gets crushed by Stanford, fires Clay Helton. Oregon wins at Ohio State.
Yep.
And now look at the difference. I mean, certainly, USC's not going to a bowl game and Oregon's going to the Alamo. But if you're mapping out the next couple of years, it certainly looks pretty darn bright for the Trojans, and there's some uncertainty for the Ducks. I think that they have a philosophical decision to make first and foremost, and that is whether they are going to go out and try to hire the best coach nationally that they can find, while acknowledging that it's possible that coach will only be around for 2 or 3 years until a better gig comes up, where they live or where they have personal ties. Or do they make you could call it the Whittingham play, and you go for stability and somebody who's got a plan and knows the school and is going to just, going to be there for life, have continuity with the coaching staff. So it's two opposite tracks there, and I think they need to figure out which of those they want to go follow before they decide, who they're going to vet.
Hey, John, it's JJ, John Jackson. Hey, my question for you is the Lincoln Riley hire so strong that it changes the whole perception of the conference in terms of being a weak, soft, a non-physical conference to becoming, more of, gain respect for the conference? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at in terms of physicality and maybe being able to, quote unquote, compete with the Alabamas, the Georgias in terms of in the trenches, those type of things. Is it that kind of hire? Is it that much impact to this hire?
Well, I think the impact is huge. I don't know if it's specifically about trench play, right? You kind of have to see that first from SC before you, maybe at least I would need to see it first. But just from a, the bigger picture view of making the Pac-12 relevant again, making it cool. I mean, the Pac-12's got a valuable piece right now in Lincoln Riley, and that's, you think about the SEC. They wanted Texas and Oklahoma because that adds to the number of valuable chess pieces they've got to play, right? ESPN isn't paying the SEC to broadcast South Carolina against Kentucky. They're paying the SEC for Texas A&M, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and Oklahoma and Texas. And Riley at USC is kind of the same thing for the Pac-12. It's a valuable chess piece, right? And if they start winning, as like a lot of people think they will, even better. But just the impact he's made in these first 8 days has changed the way people are looking at certainly USC and the Pac-12 too.
John, obviously you're covering every Pac-12 school in and out, and a guy who's been at a lot of different Pac-12 schools is Dante Williams, our former head coach, interim head coach. What's the outlook for Coach Williams? I know he's spent every Monday night with us. We've walked away incredibly impressed. I know maybe the win-loss record doesn't necessarily advance his stock that way, but he walks away from a program with a ton of praise. What do you think the outlook is moving forward for Coach Williams?
Very good. He's got a good reputation, and I'm sure he will have, no shortage of opportunities. That's for sure. He's, considered one of the best recruiters on the West Coast and knows a ton of people. And, I don't know exactly what he wants to do anytime soon here, but he's not going to have any shortage of opportunities.
John, let me get one basketball one in before we lose you, because we're making the transition now to basketball season, and the Trojans are off to a great start. And you know what? One of the great fallacies in the world, John, is when they say, a league did really great during bowl season. That'll really help them next year. Or a league did really great in March Madness. That'll really help them next year. It's not how it works at all. And the league had a great March Madness. It's not going to have any effect on this season when it comes to selection time. What is, though, is the net that comes out today. And what it looks like is there's 3 elite teams in this league, which is great. And then there's the bottom half of the conference, which is kind of a disaster. What do you make of what you've seen so far in hoops with some real haves and have-nots?
Yeah, the bottom, 5 or 6 is like a sinkhole.
Yeah, like small conference kind of numbers.
Yeah, and it's, there's an infection issue there too, right? Because you lose one game to one of those teams and it drags you down, and there's collateral damage the way the whole system's set up. So I certainly, no surprise UCLA is really good, right? Arizona, probably playing better than I thought so far, although their schedule's been kind of soft. And USC is good. They're good. They are the best defensive team in the conference, I think. Make a case, I guess, for the Bruins, but USC is playing really well on defense. And I think USC is closing in on the point at which it will take a significant downturn to not make the NCAAs, right? They're not there yet, but another couple of weeks like this, and they're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, the league looks like it's looking real good for 3, and then where do you find the ones after that is the question. I think that Washington State team is pretty good, but there's just there's more. Don McClain called them landmines the other day. You called it a sinkhole. It's the same kind of thing. It's just it's going to be avoiding those that are going to be the key for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Washington State's problem is their non-conference schedule is.
That's right. They didn't play anybody.
Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yep.
So the big ones are, Colorado and Oregon, I think, are the two kind of the tipping points in terms of whether the conference is going to only have 3 in the make a case, I guess, for the Bruins. But USC is playing really well on defense, and I think USC is closing in on the point at which it will take a significant downturn to not make the NCAAs. Right? They're not there yet, but another couple of weeks like this, and they're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, the league looks like it's looking real good for 3, and then where do you find the ones after that is the question. I think that Washington State team is pretty good, but there's just there's more. Don McClain called them landmines the other day. You called it a sinkhole. It's the same kind of thing. It's just it's going to be avoiding those that are going to be the key for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Washington State's problem is they're not conference schedule.
That's right. They didn't play anybody.
Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yep.
So the big ones are, Colorado and Oregon, I think, are the two kind of the tipping points in terms of whether the conference is going to only have 3 in the NCAAs or could get, 4 or 5, maybe 6 somehow. Those are Oregon's got to get it turned around quick. Though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know everyone has faith. Everyone has faith that Dane Altman will get it together, and he usually does. But they have put themselves in a massive hole and a tough loss. I believe it was last night in overtime to Arizona State team that is struggling. So, not great. Yeah, that's the sound effect from Jon Wilner. All right, John. Well, hopefully we'll catch up with you during basketball season as we get closer to March, and the Trojans hopefully will be on a run at that point as well. So, thank you, Jon Wilner. Again, follow him at Wilner Hotline. He'll have all the coaching news. You want to know who's going to be the coach at Oregon or all the other machinations around the conference. John is the go-to journalist in the